Hey, I'm going to show you how to replace a AC evaporator on a first gen Tacoma. And signs that you might have to replace your evaporator. Obviously your AC isn't cold, and you might get like a burning, like it smells like burning coolant. It'll be the refrigerant kind of burning. You'll get that inside the cabin when you turn the AC on. And not sure if it's my evaporator leaking yet, but it probably is, so I'm gonna get in there and take it out. First thing you need to do is get the refrigerant emptied out of the system, and you know it's under pressure, it's toxic stuff, so just pay a shop to do it. That's what I did. I had my friend empty it at the shop, and then first thing you're gonna do is disconnect these. This one here, it's a this is a 17 millimeter, this is a 19 millimeter. You just hold this one and then you just spin this one that way. You loosen it up the normal loosening way. This will just pull out like that, and then you have a boot here. It just this part here just goes like on the other side of the metal, and then you can just stretch the boot off of that like that. Next thing, the same thing with these. And sorry, I can't tell you what size these are because I don't have open-ended wrenches that go that big. Using my adjustable wrench and these vice grips here will work fine. I think this bigger one here is like a 27 millimeter. It looks like that one's probably like a 25 or 24. And then you just remove the rubber boot, same as the other one. And I put a rag in there because I saw some of the refrigerant in there. I don't want it dripping all over. So lucky for us, with this truck you don't have to remove the whole dash like with a lot of cars to get to this. It's basically just under here, so we have to remove the glove box and all this stuff out of the way. So first thing I'm going to do is a 10 millimeter here, remove that. There is 2 screws here, another screw here, and another 10 millimeter here, another one there. First I'm just going to remove those. So first thing, just remove these 2 Phillips head screws that hold on the glove box. There's one here, one there. In your glove box, open it, just lift up like that. It has these things there, you just lift it up, it'll pull right off. And the next thing, 10 millimeter bolt, and then 2 more of those Phillips head screws there. This thing off, there's these little plastic things here. This one was harder to get off. I had to lift it up and like pop it out, and then it'll slide out of there like that. Next thing, gonna remove this. 2 10 millimeter bolts, one here, one there. There's that little clip there. You just squeeze that thing in with a pair of needle nose, and then this will pull out. There's a third 10 millimeter bolt there in the middle under the latch that I missed. These side parts in, pop them loose, and then it should just kind of fall out. These wires here, you can kind of just pop the thing out of there. This one here, you just push on that part with a little screwdriver and it'll pull out. To pull this one off with this part, you need to pull this tab here down with a screwdriver to get to clear that black thing, and it'll just slide off that way. Next we need to get this out of the way. Just pull it that way, just pops right out. Alright, so the AC evaporator is in this box right here. We got to remove this. There's just a few bolts. First, I'm going to disconnect all these parts of the wiring harness that go into it. So this one here, you just pull it out. It should pull out pretty easily from under this black tab here. You push down on that part there. These will come apart. This one you push down on that tab. It'll come apart. And then this gets left on the box. This one you push on that tab and it'll come out there. You gotta push this under that wire to get that free. This just comes out of that little clip there, and then it looks like there's This one here, you just push down on that with your thumb, it'll just pull right out. This here controls like their hot or cold knob. To get out of the way, I popped it out of that clip there. And then you just pull it out of that there. And then this end here goes on the end of this thing that turns and moves the air thing around. And when I put it back together, I have to figure out where to set it because I forgot. Next, there's a bunch of 10mm bolts that hold this on. There's one up here behind the wiring harness there. There is another one right there. And then under the carpet, there's that one. And then there's two over in the corner there. And the bolt in the top left corner behind the wiring harness, kind of a pain to get to. Found the easiest way is to stick a Phillips head above the wiring harness like that. If you have a really long one, it'd be better. One more wire I missed. That one right there, this connector, you just push on that part with a screwdriver, pull it out. There we go. It should just pull out now. Just kind of wiggle it free. There's a drain hose on the bottom down there. That'll just pull right out. Here's the hose for that. And here's the evaporator right in there, basically just like a mini radiator thing. And then you can see here there's definitely like some leakage going on. And my mechanic told me too, when he was looking under there with a UV light, we saw some stuff down here, so that makes sense. That's why. So now we just gotta take the housing off. It breaks up, this is like the seam right here. There's 1, 2, 3 Phillips head screws, and then there's these clips, one there, one here, and a third right here. This top part here just pulls right off, and just expect these this foam seal here just break in half. It's fine, just like a dust seal really. If you really want, you could put like some silicone on there and you put it back together, whatever. And there's gonna be this wire holding them together still. To remove this, take a screwdriver, you push down on that edge there, just pull out. And now this whole AC evaporator thing will just come right out. And there's some kind of sensor here. Just pop that off of the fins. So my evaporator core was definitely leaking. You can't see it now, but it kept dripping refrigerant out of there. At first I thought it was condensation, it was clear, but it just kept dripping. I showed it to my friend who's a pro, and he said no, I definitely need a new one. And when you replace this, might as well replace this too. It's only like a $20 part. And then there's also a filter thing that Toyota recommends replacing. I'll show you how to do that too. And I'll leave a description where you can buy all the parts for a good price. If you buy anything after clicking on my link through eBay, I get a small commission, help support my channel, so I appreciate that. And to take this apart, you just remove these two Allen bolts. They're number 5 Allen size. This will just pull out. Mine did really easily. And then this thing just pulls off of there really easy. And you'll need new O-rings too when you replace it. And then if you are gonna reuse this, just get the new O-rings also. Take it apart, put the new O-rings in. Alright, so here's my new parts. I went with a cheaper aftermarket core. This thing is OEM though, and it comes with all the O-rings. And this thing is like under pressure. I don't know if it has refrigerant in it or what, or how it comes, to be honest. Never gotten one of these. But just wear some safety goggles. You can hear the air coming out. Slowly release releasing the pressure in it. Mine had an 8mm bolt on the end there. It just has this holding it together. And this comes with 2 O-rings right here, but since this is aftermarket and these are the OEM O-rings, I might as well just use the OEM ones. It comes with 3 big ones. You put 2 of the big ones on here. 2 big ones on here. And these OEM parts actually even come with instructions on how to install them too. And then you take this, you put the small one in there, the big one in there, and you're supposed to use some of the refrigerant as lubrication. And a trick to use refrigerant, just like keep this one undone here, stick your finger in there to get some to use on there, since I assume you're a DIY guy. And then the instructions that come with this, they even tell you what orientation to put it on. So this end here faces that way, goes on like that, and these go on like this. Actually, this was kind of hard to get in there, so I took the O-rings out of this, or it's called the expansion valve, and put the O-rings on the ends of these pipes, and then it went in a lot easier. And you just take your long number 5 Allen key bolts and you put them in from the bottom here. And the torque spec for those 2 Allen bolts is 5.4 Newton meters, or 4 foot-pounds for those. If you don't have a torque wrench, 4 foot-pounds is not very much force. Just get them, you know, like pretty snug. And then when you handle the cord, just be careful not to bend the fins, or if you bend some a little bit, you just want to hold it by this part. And then let me show you the way that it goes in. So you take this part, you can put on top. The drain, the bigger part with the drain, goes in the bottom. And if the big opening facing this way, the pipes go that way through this little notch here. And then this sensor wire goes through here, through that little divot right there. And then just remember to clip this on. Just kind of clip it on anywhere where the wire wants to sit, I think. Here's what it'll look like when you're done. Just put that sensor about there. Looks fine. You just put those 3 clips and the screws back on. And then this wire here just goes through this big hole. And then you pop it back onto the top here. You just push it in. When you're putting this thing in, the box back in, there's 2 like metal hoses on the top. Just make sure they're the right distance apart to get through the holes, because they can bend. Get those through the top holes first, and then remember that drain plug on the bottom, you can stick that through second. And then just make sure like all these all the edges line up good, and that weird wire that has like no spot to go through and just goes there, I don't know, I just left it loose and it just fell into place somewhere, and I just try to get those seams to meet up. It's kind of weird. And then here's what all the wires look like when they go back together. And to install the cable for the temperature adjustment, if you put it on all the way cold like it is now, it'll pull that thing towards you. If you have it on all the way hot, it should be out there. So I just put it all the way on cold so the cable's pulled all the way in, the shortest it can go, and then just installed it like that. You just put it, the end of it on there, and just pop it up through that metal holder. And also Toyota recommends that you replace this when you replace the AC core. It's called a receiver drier. I think it's some type of filter. My friend recommended me replacing that too. He says if you don't replace that, you might run into problems and could find more leaks. It's located right here. I'm gonna go over how to replace that. First thing is remove the grill. I don't mind just kind of pulled out in the top of those clips, but I think they're kind of broken. You probably supposed to squeeze something. And then there is a couple. Go down on the back there along the radiator. There's 2 of those on each side. So here's where all the clips are located. To release these, just get a pair of needle nose, squeeze on the top and the bottom like that, just push it through. And then mine in the middle is broken, but it would be right here. I think you could reach like under there or something. Next, all you do is loosen these 2 bolts up all the way. And I was able to use this ratchet right here. They're both 10mm. When I use it with no extension, I was able to squeeze it in to get this one in the back too. And then you just loosen this clamp up that holds it. And then to remove it, if you just put like a screwdriver on top of it, tap it down with a hammer. If yours is all kind of rusty and stuck like mine, you could spray it with some penetrating oil, WD-40 on this clamp thing to help. And to pull this one out of there, I would just recommend taking that bolt out of the clamp, take it all the way out, and then you can bend this out to get it out. I didn't do that first, then I had a pain getting that bolt out. I had to hold this end with these vice grips, and it's all deformed now. And then also on the bottoms of both these fittings, there's a couple O-rings. Be a good idea to replace those. I might leave a link in the description. And then also, you might want to replace the O-rings that go on the end of these 2 fittings also. So when you're putting this back in, if that rubber thing is, I would recommend leaving the rubber thing on when you're putting it back in, or if that's falling off, put a piece of tape over it. So I had a lot of corrosion and crap falling on this, and I assume you don't want to get it in there. So just put it in there and then tighten this loosely, and the narrower part of that shape goes in the front. I mean, it'll be obvious there's only one way that these can go on. And then you want to replace the O-rings. Mine actually came with these 2 little O-rings, so if you buy the Denso one, it should come with those. And then just use a little bit of the refrigerant oil on the O-rings to lube them up when you put them in. Put the screw in. And a trick to use refrigerant, just like keep this one undone here, stick your finger in there to get some to use on there, since I assume you're a DIY guy like me. And then it says in the instructions to fill this up with, to put some oil in this before you put it in. I asked a pro, he said it'd be alright just to install it dry. If you're picky about it, you could just leave it like this. Drive it to the shop where you're going to get the refrigerant put in, or you could just install them and just take them out, tell them that that doesn't have oil in it yet.